Good evening to all our viewers. We are live from Goa Story, and we are very happy to have with us, a team that has been involved with the Save RA movement. Uh, Ms. Amrita Bhattacharya has been there from almost the beginning of this movement, and I'll take this time to introduce um, our other panelists also who are involved with the Save RA movement. So we have with us Kriti or Sukriti Gupta, we have Rima Shah, Sahil Parsekar, and Yash Marwa, who are very energetic and young, the younger lot of the Save RA movement. They all are involved in their own ways, and they're contributing to the movement by quite a bit. So the purpose of having this interaction with your team is to understand from you what has made the Save RA movement such a huge success, because it has become one of the most successful urban civil movements for conservation purpose. So welcome to everyone, and I would like to start with our first question. Um, Um, Avinash, before we start, do you want to pitch in and add something, please? Hello.
Welcome to our guest on this live stream. You guys have a lot of experience, which we in Goa we would are happy to hear because it's a learning process for us as well. We haven't had such kind of mass protest to a project of this scale before in terms of especially the youth. I mean, they were 20, 30 years back, but recent times it's not been the case. So yes, we would we'd like to hear from you guys how you all went about, what you all faced, and any advice that you all have for us as well.
Absolutely. So, our first question to the entire team: how did this movement begin, and how did the people mobilize for it? Can you talk about the methodology used, your noteworthy campaigns that became a catalyst for this movement? So, I would like to start with Amrita ji.
In this way, where protests started, uh, began in 2014 November, when all the uh, those notices on the trees were put up in RA forest. It said that around 2,198 trees will be cut for a metro car shed. But before that, only awareness started building about RA, and a person called Manish Garia, I think, had started along with some other people a page called Save RA, and people started visiting RA, and they started doing small initiatives to protect RA. But when notices were put up on the trees, citizens started gathering. I was told that Manish contacted many people, and people came together. And
I think we've lost Amrita ji. What has made the Save RA movement such? Hello, Amrita ji.
consumer will be also considered. That
I
is
think
what
we are having
was
troubles.
mentioned at that point of time as another
Okay.
location. In 2015 May, and by July, a stay order came, July and August, and there was a stay on felling of trees in RA. Post that,
Hmm.
citizens started tweeting about the uh, issue, and there were other events that we conducted. In 2017, there was one campaign just before our municipal election in Mumbai, which was called Vote for RA, and that is when I think Yash also got involved, and this campaign was suggested by a young boy again, Abhishek Bhatt. He was still then a student. He was studying law, and this campaign became really viral. Um,
Absolutely. I would like to now quickly go across to the other panelists as well. Sukriti Gupta, can you also share how did you join this movement? And after you, I'll go to Rima, then Yash, and then Sahil. Quickly, if you can share what made you join this campaign and what motivated you.
So I actually had a relationship with Ari because of my dogs. Actually, I used to walk my dogs there, and it was one of the only green spaces that I really knew of. And I think through the campaign Amrita was mentioning Vote for Ari, I sort of ended up at one of the protests, and I connected to a friend there who I hadn't seen in many years, Aparna. And from there, we were thinking about what we could do, and I worked with schools and environmental education. And I thought about using whatever resources I could to educate the kids about what was going on in RA. And luckily, meeting all the different team members, I met Amrita, I met Yash. Everyone in their own way was already doing something, and it was easy to work with them and sort of galvanize everyone's experience and motivation. And yeah, so I bought a few schools for workshops. They connected with the tribals, they connected with the biodiversity, and they took that back to their communities, wherever they came from, around the city.
All right. Rima, can you also share your thoughts on my earlier question?
Yes, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Devi. Hi. So I joined sometime in December of 2018. And I think they were, so there was this guy, I don't completely remember his name, and he was trying to make this tree with messages for RA, and the trunk, he thought he had written all the messages on a piece of cloth, and he decided to create this tree, and that's how I got involved. And then and I think in March we created, a lot of us together, we created this whole big huge human chain. I've had childhood memories with RAs, which is why I got interested in the whole campaign of Save RA.
Okay. Yash, what about you?
So I was doing my communications as an undergraduate subject, and during that time I came across this campaign late in 2016, which is when I just reached out to the people who I read about, who were the part of this campaign, and about 2-3 months after that, we did the Vote to Save RA campaign. It was primarily a communications role of trying to make sure how creative the output can get about the campaign. And from then, it's just been that. Yeah, that's about that.
Okay. So over to Sahil, and I chose you to go last because Sahil is also from our Goa. So, since we're seeking inspiration from the Save RA movement, he's like our Goan connection to the Save RA movement. So Sahil, can you share your thoughts about this campaign?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for bringing me over here. And so my connection with RA goes way back. When my father, like my grandparents used to stay in RA, and my father has spent his childhood in RA. So as a kid, I used to, listen to stories my grandmother used to tell me about leopards and, how they encountered, say, a leopard some night. Or my father used to be scared of ghosts when he was a child. So, he used to tell me, how scary RA is. So I was really, intrigued with what RA was, because I had not really spent any, much of my childhood over there, not at all. So at the time that RA movement was going on, I was not in Mumbai. I was in Delhi. I was working in Delhi. And, what happened was there was this one campaign wherein about 1,000 people, most of them students, came to RA to form a human chain in the middle of the rain. Okay, and as you know, as a student, I remember during the India Against Corruption movement, it was difficult to mobilize Mumbaikars to get out, for anything close to anything political. So I was really intrigued by the fact that a lot of Mumbaikars are joining the RE movement. So I called a couple of friends and I asked where is it that I can contribute to the movement. And I eventually decided that I had a good grip on colleges because I was a culture secretary of one of the colleges in Mumbai. So I came back immediately, taking a month leave from my work. I came back and I started going into colleges and campaigning for RA. And eventually my work brought me to Amrita Bhattacharjee, brought me to Yash. I remember I met Reema on the night when the trees were being cut in RA. So I met, I'm kind of amongst the people who came very late, but the younger batch of RA, I would say. But yeah, I came at the right time.
Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for giving all your inputs and sharing what made you join the movement. And it's so heartening to understand from you that a campaign of this sort has attracted people from all age groups, all sorts of backgrounds.
I think there should be is. Oh, she's back. Sorry.
Sorry, I lost it.
So it's very heartening to see your involvement. Now I want to ask, since we are talking to everyone individually before we go on to the bigger, larger topics of today's interview, what made you, how have you contributed to the movement in your individual capacities? And again, I would like to start with Amrita ji because she's been with the campaign the longest. So if you can share how you've been contributing, and then we'll go one by one to everybody.
Again, my internet is something happened. Yet it happened. I get problem. So how I joined was that like I was just giving the history. So and then that is when I got disconnected. So I started reading in the newspaper that Nutris would be starting in RA, and I didn't know how to join the movement. I was not on social media platforms at all. I didn't know anything about Twitter and Facebook then in 2015. So one of my neighbors introduced me to somebody from the movement, and that's when I joined. And initially we decided to organize an event called RA Mahotsav for citizens to come to RA and experience RA and the beauty of RA and understand that how important a place like this can be in the life of Mumbaikars. So that is when I actually, and that is the day when RA Conservation Group was getting formed, and I joined in the movement and started volunteering. Initial days, I must say, was very difficult because I come from engineering and MBA background, so I could not understand a lot of things, especially legal things. And slowly I started getting more involved. I used to travel with Vanashakti as the lawyers to NGT and go for the hearing, and that is when I used to also come back and take photographs to show as evidence in the case in NGT. Post that, when denotification of RA happened from Metro Carpet area happened from no development zone, we decided to file a PIL with the help of Zoru Vathena. The PIL was was filed in Mumbai High Court towards the end of 2017. And post that, we also went to the Supreme Court. The case was there in Supreme Court. Apart from this, the court petitions, I also got involved in organizing events and outreach programs in schools and colleges. And we have wonderful people joining RA. You have some of them here, many are
we can't get everybody to talk on one show. But I always say that our team, the RA conservation group is like the ecosystem of a forest where different people come in and play different roles, and we coexist. So whenever anybody came up with a brilliant idea, I always was there to help them in organizing events. Uh, Here we have Kriti, who is very actively involved with schools. She used to bring many students here. Aparna, Kriti, there was another person very active, Mahesh Badia. They used to come up with many creative events in RA, like celebrating our festivals with the trees in the forest. So we celebrated Raksha Bandhan event, we celebrated Ganpati event in RA, and apart from that, many projects were also organized. So as a team, we all used to get involved. So, and I must say that our group has people who come up with brilliant ideas, and our youngsters are really amazing. Whenever they needed any information, I generally travel a lot, and especially I move around in RA. So be it, journalists, they used to come and see what are the issues. I take them around. I also work closely with the tribal community of RA, and since 2016, I'm connecting with them. Uh, it is also about the rights of the tribals when we talk about RA forest, and in Mumbai, Adivasi have not yet filed, many Adivasi hamlets have not yet filed their rights, claims under Forest Rights Act. But in 2019, this process started. So there is one act called Forest Rights Act 2006, which gives Adivasi communities to claim their rights in forest areas where they live. It gives them two rights. One is individual rights, the other one is community rights. And when Adivasi communities through Gram Sabha take their rights, government before declaring any project need to also take no objection from the Gram Sabha. This gives another protection to forest areas. So I also work in that area, and yeah, so far this has been a journey. And while taking part in all these campaigns, events, various activities, also visiting courts, I am learning more and more about how we can
Hmm.
work together to protect a forest.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing how you've been contributing, Amrita ji. I would like to quickly now go in reverse order. I'll ask Sahil to just share with us what is your individual contribution to the campaign been like.
So the first thing that I came, after I came back from Delhi, the first thing that I did
Hello?
was, hello,
Hello?
hello. Am I audible now? Hello.
Yeah. You're audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that I did was I went to my college.
Sahil,
That
can
is
you share your individual contribution to the campaign and how you've been getting involved with the campaign so far?
right. So I went back to the college that I belong to. That's Ramnar Ruya College, and
Hello?
I hello. Can you hear me?
I
Devasimi,
think.
we can hear him.
Yeah, you are audible to me, Sahil.
Okay.
Maybe just not to
Yeah.
Okay.
you.
Okay, go ahead, Sahil. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, so I got my I met my juniors, and I gathered them up and I informed them about the RA movement, and we decided to basically set up a table and get signatures from their colleagues and from their juniors, and that's how we gathered support in Ruia for the RA movement, and that's where I thought, why not do this in other colleges as well. So I started going to different colleges and approaching their students in different ways, be it lectures, be it just arranging a table, be it a signature campaign, a signature drive, a human chain. So we had this in different colleges, and that was the first thing that we did. Apart from that, I realized there are many running groups, specifically marathon groups, and my father is a marathon trainer, so I brought some marathon groups to RA, and I arranged this something called Run for RA. And a lot of joggers, which generally used to go for RA, who like to enjoy RA, but generally they don't care for joining the movement. But Run for RA was somewhere which kind of mobilized them in the movement. Uh, that's which also led us to this idea called Trek for RA, wherein I knew a couple of trekking groups, and I knew specifically that they were a right-wing trekking group. And I realized the importance of why we need right-wing, as well as the left-wing within the movement. So that's where we try to bring trekking groups within the movement. So Trek for RA, Run for RA. And apart from that, I believe I've been representing the RA movement somewhere in the media and in different groups wherever it was necessary for us to be represented. That's all I believe, and I think the rest of it is I believe everyone here has done. We have organized, we have mobilized people somewhere or the other.
Okay. Avinash, add me to the screen.
You are on the screen, Dave.
Avinash.
We can see you, Dev.
Okay, you can see me.
Yeah.
So I'll go next to Yash, and then Rima, and then Sukriti. Yash, the same thing. Like, how have you been contributing to the movement? If we can quickly run through this.
Sure. I mean, initially, of course, it was a lot of, say, content writing and media management and getting people to visit RA. For example, I think one of the first times I myself also visited RA was when a journalist from Scroll wanted to, see the place for a film. And that film ended up becoming one of their very hit films, like with millions of views, and it was about RA. But then post that was a lot of like making teams, like say writing vertical, design vertical, social media vertical, and basically coordinating. Because whenever we saw heat in the movement, we realized that these teams had to quickly respond to say allegations or falsehoods, or get people to say maybe the protest, or like a lot of such things basically. So we used to have these quick response teams prepared for a lot of these things, and every team required information, right? So we used to talk to the petitioners to say even make them read more and more content, because if someone asks you a question when you are out there, you should not be misrepresenting the movement, right? So a lot of that process also like helped. We had our content all in say on websites, on Google Drives, and like so on and so forth, so that a lot of it, as much as possible, we had it open source, so that it's not like someone has to visit someone and read something. It was all available, which I think played a huge role. Like for example, even people from say Bangalore or Delhi, or at times even from other countries, knew about the movement because we had put out as much of the information possible out there. So yeah, I think it was a lot of that, and then building volunteer teams, conducting online events like tweetathons, and when I talk about quick response team, it just reminds me there was a time in 2019, say around September October last year, we were getting at least 1,000 messages on our Instagram page every day, and
Okay.
it's not humanly possible for one person to reply to them. We had 5 people, so we used to go through them, reply, and tell everyone what is supposed to be done. So yeah, those are that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yash. Rima, over to you, so you can share, and then we'll round this round off with Sukriti.
Right. So when I joined, I remember having some conversations with Yash and just throwing some ideas, and then he said, "Oh, why don't you do it?" So I think Yash has been quite a bit of a support in that sense. I've been helping out quite a bit in the outreach aspect of it. So when we tried to create a long human chain, and I think we managed to get about 2,000-ish people, I helped in the outreach process there, and also post that, and in fact post the protests. I've been helping in creating events with all the subject matter experts, and getting people to listen to what the subject matter experts really have to say from different perspectives about why RA should be saved. Yeah.
Okay. So Sukriti, over to you.
So, like I said, I worked with kids in environmental education. So, my go to move was to bring kids into RA. And a lot of kids haven't had access in that way. Like, I know a lot of our generation went on picnics and that sort of thing. But that sort of died out and got eaten by the city, I think, in some ways. So, allowing the kids to connect with the culture of RA, the Adivasi people, we brought in wildlife experts, artists, musicians, and then just giving them space to just really enjoy themselves there. Because, especially in our city, kids don't have nature, it's not accessible. And ultimately, people will protect what they love. So, we focus slightly differently on just allowing kids to have a lot of fun and then bringing that back to their community and their parents. Essentially, that was the target, that if kids can talk to their parents in a certain way and convince them to go back and make good memories there, just like many of us did with our families, then the idea is that hopefully that will motivate parents to pay more attention, motivate schools to pay more attention. And I think it works in conjunction with everyone else is doing. Like even Rima and Sahil and Yash at different, and Amrita, we've all connected at different points and support, and all of that builds momentum. So what struck me was listening to everyone's stories was how everyone sort of brings their own capacity and their own vision and making space for that.
All right. All right. So my next question is actually going to be an open flow. So I will put that question, and anybody in any order can, we can have a conversation and a discussion about this. But before that, I thank everyone for sharing their inputs. So my next question is, what role does politics play in people's movements, and how have you interacted with the political parties over time? And have there been attempts made to hijack the movement by any political party? So whoever wants to start, they can go ahead.
I think Amrita ji can answer the question very well.
Sorry?
She's quite experienced in the field.
Sorry?
Amrita ji can answer the question, I said.
Since 2015 or since 2014, I guess political parties started getting involved in the movement. Aam Aadmi Party is one of the parties who has been supporting the movement since the beginning, along with also, MNS, Shiv Sena. All three of them had openly showed their support for the movement since 2015. Congress also started getting involved in the movement and showing support on the ground since 2017. Did anybody try to hijack it? It did not happen. Also did not happen only because of the conscious decision of the people of the movement. Because we do not want it to become a political, agenda of any party. So we are very conscious about it. Is that we understand to protect the forest or to do anything good, we need political will, because finally government is run by politicians. So some political parties will do. So our focus was on getting political parties to give this, assurance that if they come in power, they will save this forest. And that is how we work. So for us, nobody was very, our favorite, and somebody was, that we were angry with. So anybody said that, hey, we are in the forest and we think that this area should be protected, you are welcome to join us. So that's how we manage.
Okay.
I don't remember
So,
also.
yeah,
There is
who would
also
like
one
to
important thing
contribute?
that I would like to add. Yeah,
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
it is. I think I would say it is very important to understand that the movement was not anti-BJP as well. I mean, we did try to engage with the BJP. We did try from our behalf to, kind of reach out to the chief minister, reach out to their leaders. I remember calling even some of my friends in the RSS, because I knew there are a lot of people who live in Mumbai who might be BJP voters and still support the RA movement, because they knew that what the chief minister was doing in RA was wrong. So we engage with every party that we could engage with, including the BJP, and not excluding them. So the day 29 people were arrested, for trying to save the trees at RA, I remember giving this, telling this to a media channel. I said that there are people who support the BJP and who are lathi charged by the police that time. So it didn't matter for us which political party is in favor or which is against, or whatever the case is. We knew that voters and supporters of different parties were in the movement and were willing to contribute simply to save RA and not for their political purpose. That's what we were there for.
Okay. Who would like to talk about this next?
He's actually
Yeah, I would just
from BJP as well, but yeah, at that point of time, we did not get much support. But actually, it is very interesting is that in our movement we have
Hello?
many people who are very fond of Narendra Modi ji and pro BJP, and they are getting very very in love with the forest, and they are about the forest.
Hello?
Actually, we can hear you.
yeah, we could hear Amrita.
Yash, you were gonna say something?
Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, Dave. you are
Okay.
on.
Who was talking? I think I missed out a bit.
Yeah, no. Amrita did say give her input. It's just that I mean, we always knew for the fact that even if it's impossible to alienate such a big party, anyways, and because they have such a big base, and so we were always, speaking to as many people wherever possible. So that's what we did. But yeah, one thing which I particularly remember is one of the MPs from the Goregaon region itself. We had, in a way, in like say before 2019, we had some problems with him. He would not listen to us and things like that. But once 2019 happened and the elections happened, his sorry, I'm so sorry. This was about a Sena MP. Before 2019, he was saying that no, I can't do anything about the movement and things like that. But after the elections happened and when the state elections came, he had to be our biggest supporter. So even though they were earlier in an alliance, Mr. Kirtikar ultimately ended up, eating up his words. But that basically happened because we had that constant communication with him as well as his supporters and the people in and around his constituency. And it actually looked impossible at the state level to, antagonize the government for himself. So there is no way that such a movement can be firstly apolitical, but secondly there is no way that such a movement can alienate people. So I think that's one big lesson that we ourselves also realize somewhere in the middle, and then others have in a way picked it up from us, I'm guessing.
Okay. Rima, I'm interested to know, especially also from Sukriti, what are your views about the political aspect of participating more, whether there tends to hijack the movement, perhaps? Rima?
Right. So, like Yash said, that no movement can be apolitical in that sense. However, constant dialoguing with the political parties does have to happen so that um, changes, uh, so that changes can be made, or at least our voices can be heard. At any point, I don't think that the movement ever became political in that sense. So yeah, that's my point of view.
Kriti, I think you can just go next.
Lost there,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
you
Can you?
had your point, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I worked with kids, man, so I could stay out of the politics. So that was my little way out, to be very honest. But I think what everyone has said is spot on. Like it can't, you have to. There's no way around it. And I think what Sahil also mentioned earlier, purposely going and finding people who have politics that are different from you. So one is engaging with the political party itself, and the other is the people who ascribe to different politics. And I think the more you can connect with people who are different from you and using the environment as a unifying factor, since it's something that we all have in common, I think it made it easier. I mean, it's made my experience easier to find common ground and end up working together and getting more people into the movement. And I think the more people the movement got, the harder it became for any political party to hijack, because then it stays with the people in their own way. It's not like the movement is perfect, but everyone then has a stake in it. That's kind of how I feel.
Uh, did the political parties, especially the police, did the political parties have that much influence with the police? Like in Goa, for example, the police wouldn't arrest us or wouldn't arrest the protesters because there was pressure from the political parties. How was it in Bombay? I mean, how did the government had undue influence over the missionary to do that, or were because of the involvement of other political parties, was the police reluctant to actually take action?
That is a very relevant question to the RA movement. Because you could see the change in attitude of the police in one single day after the change of government in Maharashtra. This actually everyone has witnessed it. I remember police, not just lathi charging us. I remember the police following us, like a shadow. Okay, not just in RA, everywhere we went. Okay, and the way they acted later on, I remember some of the policemen and policewomen wishing us, congratulations, and such messages later when the movement became successful. So it matters a lot. It does matter who's in the government. The police is definitely influenced by that.
Okay, and
I think there was a time when in 2019 when at one place there was this protest only about climate crisis, like only like general, we don't want global warming, something as basic as that. The police literally told the protesters, "RA ka naam mat
They were
lena."
not protesters. They were
So
just they were
that's
kids.
the level of.
They were fifth standard kids there. I still remember.
Yeah.
They were fifth standard kids. I was there at that place right there. It was one day after the cutting of trees, and the police told me that if there is a mention of the RA movement or the word RA itself, we are going to arrest everyone who's present, including the kids. So that was the extremities that the police were at the time of the BJP government.
just to share with you guys in Goa, because the police were not assertive enough for the government, they had to bring the railway police and that to armed police from other states to intimidate. So yeah, so that's one of the most relevant thing, because a lot of protesters back out when they see a lot of police. So you guys had done a fantastic job keeping people together and giving them the confidence to go throughout go stand throughout the campaign without backing off. So just the one last question: what are your thoughts and suggestions and recommendations to the people who are campaigning against the Mollem projects? So what would you have? What message would you give to them, especially in terms of strategy and without revealing too many details, of course? But yeah, could you share your advice for us? Yeah, anyone can speak.
If I could just quickly go in and go first because I have to
Yeah, sure,
leave.
sure.
That's the only reason. Sorry for that. But I think in many ways it's been pretty much on point. The kind of voice that's being raised, because otherwise you wouldn't have seen national news or national influencers, national politicians like from Delhi and all that talking about the issue. But of course, and as you mentioned, we can't really discuss strategy here because I'm sure people are watching this who we wouldn't want to. But I think as soon as there's one basic tip, and it's nothing like a formula from Mars or something, that when you see others doing what you want to do, but you are not able to do yourself, right? I mean, jitna, the more the movement becomes open sourced, say somewhere from say North Goa, you see some kid just doing something on their own. It could be a very bad drawing. It could be a very badly written poem. It could be a very badly shot video. But even if something like that is coming from any part of the world, you have to realize that your movement is getting bigger, which is when you need to like open up even more. And I'm not at all saying, because as being Let India Breathe, I've been a part of the Save Mole project, and the work that the students and kids and artists are doing is like beautiful. And I think that always re-energized us also in the RA movement. But one very important factor in the RA movement was, अगर मैं हिंदी में कहूँ तो हम किसी को छोड़ते नहीं. So if someone comes to us once, we never leave them. We just go behind them again and again and again and again. But if I have one number saved today, I'm never going to not message them for the next 10 times. Because what happens is the more the people get involved, they will take ownership, and they will then in turn get more people. So don't feel like you are stalking someone or you are annoying someone or you're being creepy. I mean, of course, don't creep them out, but follow-ups are very important. And as I mean, the more we do it, the more 10 more people will do it, right? And then they will have their own teams. Like say somewhere some 10 people in Asagaon doing something, or 10 people in Palolem doing something. Let them do. Of course, they are doing. I'm no one to say. I've been seeing the movement is very good, very well spread out. But yeah, I'm just saying, the more that happens, the better.
Anyone else? Amrita ma'am, a little louder. I think your mic is.
Actually, due to some problem. So these movements grow organically, and every action, every effort put by action is important. So what I think is very important for any movement to grow is the initial group of people who come together. Many times there are burnout and people find it difficult to continue. We need to first provide that support for each other. I would say that when people join in a movement, they also need to spend time to know each other, because having trust in each other is also very important. And then we need to look for, opportunities to connect with more number of people. So I would say that, for Mulem also, project it would be good if you start connecting to schools, colleges, through social media activities, connect with participants. Our youth did a wonderful job. They manage all our social media handicap and any people who are doing it, and they kept connecting with people. And what is also very important is that in this kind of movements, there are actions by government, and as we understand, is that this is just a means. They do not themselves take decisions to harass somebody. That's what I believe. Yeah, there can be exceptions, but otherwise, yeah, they are also there for our protection. I know that when I used to go in RA, if I was alone in a place and there were nobody near and even offered help, that, okay, do you need to reach somewhere? He'll tell you that what do I do? Things like that. So, but we should not feel disheartened, and whenever there is an action as a group, other people need to stand up for that person. So, in 2015, many cases were filed. Yeah, we have 5 cases, and we have tried to always make it a point to stand up and provide support to individuals or a group of people who got cases filed against them for taking part in a protest, preventing, or for planting trees. That also has happened. Somebody went and planted that tree. It was happening, and then he got arrested for that.
Yeah. So one of in our experience here, like you guys have spent a lot of time in the forest, like I say, visiting the forest often. But in Goa, what happens? Mollem being a reserve forest, and even the area of the forest outside the reserve area, there is very few people actually visit it. So that kind of bond, we have to, like, our challenge is to first create that bond, especially among the Western Goan areas with the rural areas, and at the same and second thing is to spread the message, to bring them together, like that. So yeah, that if you could share, how like how Yash has said, to get people together, to keep them together. How did you all manage to do that? How did you all make sure that people did not, just get bored, or maybe get disheartened and leave the group, leave the movement? How did you all manage to actually?
Can I feel that question?
Yeah, sure.
I think one thing that resonated with me with what you said is finding ways to connect people to the space. That's super important. And I think everyone will find their own way to do that, I think everyone has their own skills and their own interests and something that joins them. So as much as we can support people, and not everyone will support everyone. And people will come and go, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. I mean, some people marathon really well, like Amrita and Yash have been there forever, since the beginning, as far as I know, So I think just being conscientious of that, and then finding how you can amplify your voice with the few people who happen to, will be there at the right time to help you, I think is really important. So whether it's through art events, so like just to give you an example, I'm pretty sure at some point there have been art events. Like Amrita said, we use the festivals. That was a really big one. Like Ganpati is huge. So we had natural pigments and we did Ganpati on the trees. Things like that really got eyeballs. Like they did Rakis. Some people tied Rakis. That was also a big one. So, and then with the kids, it was really easy for them. They wanted to come up with songs. Then some people brought in Swadesi, the hip hop group. That brought in a whole other vibe. Then, like Sahil said, the trekking, the hikers, the running, everyone has to find their way to bring that space, like to energize that space, and then connecting with local communities. That was also really important at some point.
So maybe since Christmas is around the corner, I think we can come up with something on that lines to.
Yeah, and food. People love food. It's such an important one. Don't underestimate it. Like people really did the Adivasi cook-offs, and they came to eat, and even in the Mahotsav, like that was really important. So definitely Christmas would be a great time to galvanize that, like build some energy.
I'll share this idea with the group, the Going Sai Court, and the other groups that are in the movement. Anyone else who would like to suggest some ideas?
Not just the 25th of December, but you should also target 31st December. And, maybe you all can have like a nice big party around whichever area is the most accessible, obviously. Yes, I also feel that in the movement, there are so many different narratives and so many different voices. You have the student voices, you have like different people connect in different ways. And I have been living in Bombay for all my life, but I didn't know that Adivasis existed or Adivasis even lived inside of Ari Forest, maybe just 20, 30 minutes away from my house. So even just connecting people or even sharing about the culture of the local community, that can be very, very interesting for some people, maybe not so much for the other people, but I think even just getting that narrative out in the world, or in maybe even in the Goan communities, that could really, really help.
Sahil, you would like to suggest something?
Yeah, one of the points I think Kriti covered it perfectly well. That there's some things, there are some movements that cannot necessarily be connected in the way the movement wants it to be connected. Sometimes people find their own roots to the movement. So very specifically, if I talk about the colleges, okay, I knew all the colleges in Mumbai at on the back of my hand. So I knew very distinct cultures that every college had in their respective um, uh, students community. So the way I reached out to them was I told them what the movement was about, but I did not tell them exactly what I was expecting of them. I would tell them, it is completely on you, how you want to express your support for the movement. So people came in different ideas, like say lectures, debates, or any sorts of things that they came up with. And this is not necessary to just the colleges. It's about every, trekking groups, or say marathon groups, or as mentioned, artists of different sorts. I remember we had made basically a sort of a camp in one of the festivals that happen in Mumbai, wherein we had a table set for RA, and we were, kind of the only table which was not selling anything but just campaigning about the movement. So we had different people joining in. But the major point I would like to put out is, and this is, I would say this will happen with every movement, including the Mollem movements, is that there are going to be differences, okay, and there are going to be rigid differences between people. And the way the RA movement was successful, I think Amrita ji would, kind of has somewhere experienced all of it. The way a movement is successful is through constantly engaging within ourselves as well, okay, and kind of making a common route where everyone can agree on, minimum common ground that everyone can agree on. Okay, in RA itself, there were students, there were tribals, there were activists, lawyers, environmentalists, all sorts of people. And this was one of the reasons why the movement was represented in its entirety. Okay, we had leftists, we had rightists, but we kind of found a common way as well. Okay, so that is very, very important. And if you want your movement to be successful, I believe Goans in all forms have to come in. Okay, it can be, they can be as diverse as Goa can be.
One of the challenges we are facing right now in organizing these programs in colleges and even in villages is COVID, and that the government is using to restrict movement of people, to restrict protests. In fact, recently some of the activists they had filed cases of Section 144 for violation of Section 144. So, given this condition, this environment, how would you all do it differently if uh, if this RA protest had to happen now amidst this COVID, where movements are restricted, gatherings are restricted? So,
This is definitely a big challenge for any movement right now. COVID situation doesn't allow us to gather in large numbers. What else can be done? Definitely social media. Through social media, we can connect with many people, and as you said, that our youth did a wonderful job with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all in those platforms. The other thing is that what we generally see is some people come forward, they want to take action, but many of them initially don't understand what to do, how they can help. So I would say that if people have already got involved and they have some information about the issue and they are already active, those who are coming now and they are wanting to do something but they don't understand how to help or how to take part. So what I used to do in those initial days, and after that when our young youth started joining from the community service and all of us, is that, for example, Yash, he was for 6 to he used to call me up. I didn't know who was he, and he used to ask a lot of technical questions about the case. So one guy said, okay, you will meet me. And he came all the way to Goregaon to meet me, and I was confused that he was like, I realized that he's a very young person. But for me, it was very encouraging. Is that somebody so young is wanting to know so much about the cause and all these technical details. So many times we don't find time to talk to people. I would say that it is very important. And then when we find that one person can bring another 20 people. Gush has contributed a lot to the movement. Sahil came at a later stage, but again, he is a representation of our youth, and he largely connected with many schools and colleges. He did so. But we need to always remember this: is that initial days when people come, they feel very lost. They don't know how to help, what to do. That is when we need to do little handholding of the people. And yes, differences happen, and that is where we need to learn how to rise above the differences. And this is where I always had a little, probably old timer in initial days when the movement started also. Many meetings used to happen at my place, and I didn't know much about technical issues then. I used to mainly start tea and coffee, but when you do so, the simplicity is down. And with our young members, also many meetings we did. So, if possible, if not, having Zoom meetings, phone calls, and if you actually find out different ways to also connect, but is not possible now. Instead of looking at as physical meeting restriction, probably some people can come together and do brainstorming to find out what can be the other way.
So
I have a question. You were saying, so are people still gathering in other places outside of protests? Like, what is the situation?
So we have two. I mean, there are 2-3 different projects related to this Mollem forest destruction. So one is the transmission line, one is the highway, one is the railway double tracking. There are about two primary groups, two primary NGOs that are heading this. One called Goensa Ekot, that is United Goans, and one is Goan Coal Sonaga. So Goans don't want coal. So these two meetings, I'm more closely associated with Goensa Ekot. They have had about 60 meetings till now, even during COVID, by maintaining the SOP as much as possible. So what the government did is impose Section 144 last week, just to curb this, and that too only in one district, not the entire state. So they are trying, like this. There's a cat and mouse game. So we are trying to have this normal campaign, do what we have to do. But at the same time, government is trying to stop whatever possible this thing. So that's what is happening here. And fortunately, they require a lot of machinery to do it. So whenever there's movement of machinery, we get to know it, and then we kind of gather there and stop the work. And Goa being a small state, it's easier for people to come. Our only challenge is to make sure that people are not afraid to come out. And so
one thing that I remember people did here was they took the RA movement to the trains, because the Mumbai trains are such a big part of life here, right? So instead, because not everyone could come to RA, even then, even if it was in the middle of the city, people would be like, it's very far. So people sometimes didn't come. So a lot of people, and even with Fridays for Future, they did the whole standing at train stations thing. And that really engaged a lot more people that normally would have never possibly come out. And I know with the kids, we did a performance in Bandra on Carter Road, which is another community space of Mumbai and so on. And there were some struggles to get permissions, especially before the government changed and so on. But that really helped us. So maybe if this laws loosen up again, instead of trying to get people to the forest, going to the beaches and doing street theater or beach theater to engage people, just start getting it in the psyche of people. That might be another arm of the same different way of outreach,
Yeah, we do have a group who is doing this street street theater and flash mobs. Again, because of COVID, it's not growing as how it would if there was no movement restriction on movement and all. So I think our time is up. Thank you, all of you guys. We are going to have definitely we're going to need your support and advice again. We plan to have more, and next time, what we intend to do is get our own activists on board, so we can have an interaction between both the groups, wherein we facilitate it. But in the meantime, thank you so much, and it was
We would be
pleasure
honored to
talking
have
to you.
him, though.
Yeah, definitely we'll do that. This system, this platform has a restriction of only 6 people. So one of our challenges is also to fundraise, and so that we can sustain this thing and take a premium version in order to get more people on board. But in the meantime, thank you so much again. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. We will definitely be sharing this video with our network so that they understand what lies ahead, and they can consider a lot of your advice and your experience that you are given. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.